Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to today's lecture. So today we are going to continue with what we started in our previous lecture on short channel effects. But today we will look into a few of the topics of the among the various short channel effects which are essential for circuit designers. Okay. For example, in our previous lecture we had already discussed physically like what is the meaning of the VT roll-off. Now, that means VT roll-off simply means that the threshold voltage will decrease with scaling technology. Okay, but we did not specifically mention the reason behind it. Okay, today we are going to investigate the VT roll-off in a mathematical fashion. We will develop a model for this because using that model we will be able to understand, like, as a circuit designer, as a circuit engineer, IC designer, what are the steps to take in order to minimize the VT roll-off. Okay, so this is an extremely important topic for the circuit designers, and this essentially means VT reduction due to scaling. Now, notice that when we are essentially in our previous lecture, we had already discussed this. For example, if you are having a short channel device like that, what happens is you are going to have a situation like this where where will we essentially think about the region under the gate? So this entire region will be the region under the gate, isn't it? So this would be fine. I mean, you will always notice that there is a particular region here, sort of region, where this depletion region where I have put the triangles, these are essentially due to the source and the drain regions only. Okay, so now if we are essentially considering a large device, then the depletion region will extend somewhat like that. But as I said, even in a large device we are going to have this portion. Okay, so this is your delta L, which seems to fall under the gate. However, the depletion region within these black triangles are essentially due to the source and the drain junctions. I mean, source channel junction and the drain channel junctions. Okay, so this has got to do with the voltage which you have applied over here rather than the voltage which you are applying on the gate terminal. All right, but in long channel devices we never bothered because this region will be very small compared to a big region under the channel which is completely like 1D potential profile, as I have mentioned in our previous lecture. So uh, this region, okay, the device operates like a simple MOS capacitor. Charge sheet approximation is valid, so things are simpler. But as I showed previously, if you are thinking about short channel device, this is a scenario, then the charges which are left out in these two triangles, they become important. Okay, so because the charges underneath the gate region, underneath this triangle region, within this triangle region, in the depletion region itself, these triangle regions are essentially due to the depletion because of the Vs and Vd voltages, not due to Vg. Okay, and in short channel device, this becomes more and more important. Okay, so and why is it related to the VT roll-off? Understand that if this part of the depletion region is due to the source and the drain region voltages, that means VT is defined for VGS over here. Okay, so that means the amount of VGS necessary to switch on the transistor will essentially depend on the charge within this trapezoid, L and L dash over here, not the rectangle which we earlier thought about. Okay, so we have to eliminate this part because of short channel effect. Okay, so now with this simplistic geometry, area of the depletion region due to the gate. So because of the gate control will only be responsible for the depletion within this trapezoid. Okay, so that will be half L plus L dash into WDM. Okay, now what is the total depletion region under the gate, which we used to think about previously? For a long channel device, it's a good approximation. Will be simply capital L into WDM. This is the area of the rectangle. That means this whole. Okay, this is the total depletion region under the gate. Okay, what is the area of the depletion region due to the gate? Due to the gate control is this. Okay, so the depletion region due to the source and the drain regions will be simply this quantity minus the area under the trapezoid. We are considering only the area because the width factor W always remains the same, so we are not bothered about it. So depletion region due to the source and drain regions will be LWDM. So 1 minus, we have taken LWDM. So WDM is coming out. So since we have put an L, so it will become divided by L here. Okay. Therefore, the depletion charge QDM reduces by a factor of how much? This factor within the third bracket, 1 minus L plus L dash by twice L with respect to the long channel QDM. We are not essentially looking into the exact value of QDM over here, but we are looking at the factor by which this QDM will reduce. That itself is sufficient for our modeling. Okay. Now let us look closely into one of these. You can take either the drain side or the source side. I have taken side. Then one very good approximation is that the N plus source, excuse me, the N plus source usually turns out to be like a circular patch over here because of ion implantation. So if we consider this end very close to as a circle, then the radius of this source channel junction will be Rj. I have written like that, and the depletion width remains the same all throughout. So this is an approximation which we have taken. So this WDM, the thickness here, everywhere is WDM, and here also it is WDM. All right. So this is like a concentric ring. Okay, annular ring-like structure. Okay, so if it is WDM, then we will just resort to Pythagoras theorem and school level geometry. Now notice this C is the point. So basically this region is completely under the gate control. So what we will do is BC is equal to how much? WDM. What is the value of AC? RJ plus WDM here. So this is also WDM. Okay. So what is the value of AB? Simply AC square minus BC square. So that is what we got. I'm mostly interested in this dB, this distance here. Okay. So dB is equal to simply AB minus AD. AD is again the radius, that is RJ. Okay. And this is what we had as B. So AB minus AD is what I've done over here to give us dB value. Now notice this dB is nothing other than L by 2 minus L dash by 2. Why is it by 2? Because we are essentially looking at only half of the channel over here, only due to the source. Okay. The other half will appear on the drain side. Okay. So that will become L minus L dash by 2, from where we will be getting L dash is equal to L minus this factor. Okay. Now, usually this radius of the source is usually much larger than the depletion width. So what we will do is, if we simply expand this, it will become 1 plus WDM square by RJ square, which will cancel here. The other term will be plus twice WDM by RJ. So that is what I have kept it, minus 1, and RJ is as usual. So this L dash is the effective reduction in the channel length due to the scaling. Okay. So the effective channel length will be this L dash value. This is the L dash. This is the effective channel length. The metallurgical gate length is basically this L. So when you are putting it inside the mask, so you will say effectively get capital L as the pitch length or the gate length. But you cannot expect the effective channel length to be L. It will be much lower than L, that is L dash. Okay. So this is a very, very important thing to understand. Especially in short channel devices, we cannot ignore this L dash, because L itself is in 7 nanometers. So L dash will be around 5 nanometer. So reduction in the effective channel length due to scaling. Now, this is the first model which we have figured. And then what we will do is we will come back to the original expression for VT, threshold voltage. VT is equal to flat band voltage, that is a zero error, plus the surface potential 2πf plus QDM by Cox, depletion width by Cox, maximum depletion width by Cox. That will be equal to, that will imply that what is the VT roll off? VT roll off is the change in VT because of this short channel effect. So what is the change in VT? Notice VFB doesn't change, 2πf doesn't change. Only what changes is QDM. QDM, which we have noticed that the depletion charge QDM reduces by a factor of this. So all I'm going to do is the VT roll off will be equal to the QDM value, which is minus Q. Why have I put minus here? It is because VT minus VT plus delta VT. Okay, so this is the new one because of the change. So it will essentially turn out to be a negative quantity. That means VT will be reduced. Okay, that's why we call it as a roll off. That means VT decreases with scaling. Please understand that I am not saying that VT scales with technology, but VT reduces with technology. We will come to that in a minute. So always keep that in mind. So VT is not scaling with technology. VT is reducing with downscaling. There is a difference between reduction and downscaling. We will look into it. So VT roll off will be delta VT. As there is a decrease, I'll put a minus here. What is the value of QDM? QNA WDM by COX. And the reduction in QDM because of scaling is given by this factor. I will just multiply that factor over here. Now, what we will do is L dash value is already known to us. We have already developed a physical model for that. So I'll just replace this L dash with this big expression, L minus twice RJ into root over 1 plus 2. This, you can see this. Okay. Now, since it is L plus, so this L and this L will be twice L. This twice L and this 2 will cancel, and here is 1 2 that will also cancel. So you are left with L minus RJ into this. Okay. Now notice that L by L is again going to be minus 1. Okay. So 1 minus 1. And there was a minus here that turns into plus RJ by capital L into this. Okay. So that is essentially delta VT. So finally, the delta VT turns out to be minus QNA WDM by COX. This 1 and minus 1 will cancel. You are left with this factor. So what do we understand? That the VT roll off, that means the decrease in threshold voltage because of scaling, is given by this factor. Now, if we are just dealing with the physics perspective, as we did in the previous lecture, what did we understand from there? We understood that if L decreases, that means if you are scaling the technology and the gate length decreases, L decreases, what will happen? You see L is in the denominator, so delta VT increases. So that means the VT roll off or the threshold decrease. So the effective VT will be how much? VT minus this delta VT. Delta actually plus delta VT. There is a minus here itself. Okay, so that means VT reduction will happen by this factor. What we understand is if we are making this L lower and lower as we are going down the technology, what will happen? Your delta VT increases. So that means delta VT is increasing in the negative side. So VT will decrease. Understood? But the problem which we are trying to explain here, this is one of the major advantages of developing the physics-based models, mathematical model. So now we understand that it is not just the capital L in the picture. It will also depend on many other factors over here. For example, NA. Now, notice from this equation, we will have several engineering insights into in order to minimize delta VT. Our objective is to make our device much robust, right? So if you want to make it much robust, so that means the VT roll-off part should be as low as possible. Okay. So if we want to minimize this delta VT part, what we have to do? First of all, you can think about increasing the channel length. But again, this is a very foolish thing to do. If you are increasing the channel length, that is a long channel device, excellent. There will be no question of VT roll-off. VT roll-off is the problem of short channel effect. Okay, so if you are thinking about long channel device, clearly there will be no VT roll-off. So fundamentally, again, I come back to the original statement which I made several times in the past few lectures, is that a long channel device is always more robust than a short channel device. Okay, this is another way of showing that. So that means if you are keeping a long channel device, so what I'm trying to tell you is that unless it is extremely essential for you to scale the technology node, it's simply not necessary to use lower technology nodes. I've come across many PhD scholars also. They say that I want to design a sensor in 7 nanometer technology node. When I ask them, like in case of sensors, 7 micrometer is also fine. Why are you bothered about 7 nanometer? The answer they reply is 7 nanometer is the current technology node, so I'm going to work on that. Okay, if you say something like this, such foolish answers to your interviewers, you can forget about your job. Unfortunately, that fellow is currently a PhD scholar in bits, but basically that is the reason why bits is nowhere in the world in terms of research. But Qualcomm and Intel, they are like the world leaders. So they will essentially be very, very stringent about their recruits. So be very careful. It's much easier to get into a PhD position in bits rather than, uh, I mean, so anyway, let's not bother about it. So please understand that now you know better than some of the PhD scholars in bits. You are MTech students here. So long channel devices, if you are trying to work on, in fact, that is the reason why you will find all the people in the world who are working on sensors, they never ever bother about going into lower technology nodes. In our department also, if you ever go and speak with Parikshit sir, you are making sensors. If you go and speak with Karumbaya sir is making gas sensors. You go and speak with Sanket Goel sir, he is making biosensors. All they are making is sensors because their devices are millimeter size, millimeter. But that is perfectly fine for them because their devices will be much more, robust. Whereas if you are working with persons like me, I am into making processor technology, real circuit designs. I'm not into sensors at all. So, and sensors kind of research is more into material science. So here what I'm looking at, so if you are into circuits, the current technology, state of the art in industry, then unless you are working specifically for digital integrated circuits, digital ICs, where PDP is our concern, only then, because we have seen in our previous lecture on the general scaling theory that as we scale the technology, PDP decreases rapidly. That is the reason why in digital IC designs, we go for scaling. But when we are dealing with analog IC design, where GBW, gain bandwidth product, is our concern, over there, long channel devices are preferred. Okay. The only reason why TI will prefer to go for 45 nanometer technology node rather than 180 nanometer is simply because they will want to put in more number of um, devices and more functionality in their analog IC chips. Apart from that, as far as the circuit performance is concerned, it is actually degrading the performance. GM will reduce, RO will reduce. So don't be foolish and say that, okay, everybody is using 5 nanometer, so I'm going to use 5 nanometer for analog also. 5 nanometer for RF. For example, Saroj sir's group, they are working on RF microelectronics. So those of you who are interested in RF microelectronics, RF analog circuits, RF is radio frequency. I mean, throughout the world, nobody ever bothers about going for lower technology nodes than 180 nanometer for RF circuit designs. Got it? Okay. So unless and until you are working with digital IC designs where PDP is our main concern, PDP reduces rapidly with scaling. So that's the reason why the technology driver is essentially digital ICs. In fact, digital ICs mean microprocessor technology. Nowadays, smartphones processor technology. Okay, so this is for the long channel device. So clearly you can understand, if you make L as high as possible, delta VT will be as low as possible. Cool. Now, what are the another engineering insight which we can consider to minimize the delta VT? COX can be increased. So if you increase the COX, as we have seen, capital L can be increased, but that is a foolish thing to do. So if COX increases, delta VT decreases. So how to increase COX? You can either reduce TOX, because remember COX is equal to epsilon OX by TOX. So if you want to increase COX, TOX has to be reduced, epsilon OX has to be increased. So what we are understanding, TOX will be reduced with scaling. Excellent. How about epsilon OX increase? Epsilon OX can be increased by using high K dielectric. So previously we have already seen that high K dielectrics were kind of necessary to avoid tunneling, direct gate tunneling. So now we are essentially coming into the second advantage of using high K dielectric. Epsilon OX will be increased, so your VT roll-off will be decreased. Okay, everybody? So this is our second insight, how to reduce VT roll-off. Okay, now notice that if you want to reduce VT, delta VT, you cannot reduce Q. Q is a constant. NA can be reduced. So how can you reduce NA? That means you can use low doped or undoped substrate. That brings us to the next topic, which we will follow up in our next few classes, is FDSOI, fully depleted SOI structures. So if you are making it fully depleted, your Na has to be very, very low doped. Its doping will be around 10 power 11 per centimeter cubed. But remember, this Na becoming, even though you are scaling the technology, Na you can reduce the doping level only if you are using FDSOI. Okay, this is why, that is the reason why I have written FDSOI, because if you are scaling the technology, Na should increase by a factor of alpha into K, as we have seen previously. But this was valid for conventional transistors. Okay, so if you want to ensure that you are scaling the technology, but at the same time delta VT and all should be very low, then what you have to do is you have to scale the technology with Na also you can reduce, but that will require FDSOI, which is a new technology which we will see later. So I'll tell you one thing for to keep things in perspective. FDSOI or SOI device, or like FDSOI, basically FDSOI is everywhere. It's ubiquitous. All the technologies which you see around you right now, FinFET, Omega Gate, Double Gate, Gate All Around, our Tunnel FET, GOT-FET, these are all FDSOI devices. Okay, so we will learn about FDSOI within the next few classes. So we have to use FDSOI technology to reduce NA, such that your VT will reduce, delta VT will reduce, not VT. Okay, what is the next insight? This again, WDM by RJ, that can be reduced. Again, that will essentially will come across using FDSOI or TFT, thin film transistors. We will look into that in the FDSOI technology. So FDSOI technology is way more robust when we are going to the lower technology nodes. So this is RJ by capital L. So what we can do is, notice that you cannot directly decrease RJ. RJ is basically the part of the source region, right? So what we will do is, we will essentially introduce one shallow source and drain pocket extensions, this region here. Okay, and the doping will be very, very low. So let us say it will be N minus. Okay, so inserting a shallow extension region with low doping, such that the fields will also be lower. Okay, at the same time, this RJ will be lower than this. So if you notice, this circle has a much larger RJ than this one. Correct. Correct, everybody. So we will insert a little bit of, this is called the pocket halos or pocket halo extension. It's also called pocket halo. Pocket halo extensions. Basically, what happens is, you have got the oxide here. You are going to dope here, very low doping of N minus. Okay, but you are changing the direction of doping. For example, when you are dealing with the source region, much more heavy dosage was there for the N plus. Now you will change the direction into oblique direction, and you are going to put with N minus here and here. Okay, so these are the four important. There are other techniques also, but anyway, this 1 2 3 4, there are four engineering insights to minimize the VT roll off due to scaling. Understood, everybody? This is a very, very important thing that you have learned. We are going to use this in our next semester. Now we will come to the parasitics. So I mean, you have learned about parasitic resistances in your VLSI design. Hello, parasitic resistances and parasitic capacitances. Origin of this parasitic resistance and parasitic capacitance. Anybody? Hello. Hello. Is there no internet?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. Yeah. So you have understood, I mean, the origin of this parasitic resistance, parasitic capacitance. Hello. Origin. So it's one thing to simply put that parasitic capacitance and do the calculation. Another one is, what is the origin of the parasitic capacitance and the parasitic resistance. Anyway, nobody responds. So here it is, the parasitic source drain resistance. So there are two situations that will arise when you are making short channel devices. One is, in case of long channel, what happens is, if even if there are some underlap and overlap of this gate length over the source and the drain regions, you can ignore that with respect to the longer channel length. But in case of parasitics, what we observe is, if we are dealing with the short channel devices, what will happen? One situation is when the gate length is slightly less than the channel length. Okay, so there is a red region here where you are not going to have the channel. So what I mean by that is the channel will be formed underneath the gate, right? Here will be the channel. So these two regions very close to the source and the drain junctions, source channel junction and the drain channel junctions, you are going to have some depletion region, but there is no channel. So what is the problem? There is no inversion layer, not the channel. Channel is there. There is no inversion. Inversion will happen only under the gate, right? So this region will be depletion regions. So these depletion regions, this is 1, this is 2. These two depletion regions will essentially give rise to two resistive paths, RS and RD. So if I am looking into it from a circuits perspective, then essentially, I mean, there is one device approach also, but I always find circuit approach is much more agreeable to us as engineers, and circuit approach is somewhat easier than device approach. So I have used circuit approach to analyze this problem. So effectively what we can think about is there will be a source and the drain resistance is very close to the N plus source and the N plus drain. I have written that as RS and RD. Okay. And the actual MOSFET is essentially shown with the symbol over here, which is underneath the gate. Fine. So RPS nahi, RS, sorry. RS and RD. They are the parasitic resistances. Okay. Now let us try and look into the significance of it. The first thing is that what is the new value of VGS? Remember, what you are applying are the terminal voltages. So that means here and here. So that will include this drop across this RS. Okay. So you are applying here and here. This is the ground, VGS. So VGS dash. So the actual VGS, which is being applied between here and here, the actual VGS dash, that will essentially be VGS minus the drop across RS. That's what I've written here. VGS, the one which you are applying, minus the drop across RS. Okay. Similarly, what is the VDS? VDS is the voltage which you are applying at the drain terminal and the source terminal. Source is grounded. So what is the actual VDS you are supposed to measure between here and here? So this will be VDS minus the drops across the combination of RS and RD. Fine. So that is VDS minus ID into RD plus RS. Okay. Now let us look into the perspective of VT. So clearly appearance of these resistances has changed the effective values of VGS and VDS. Now we will look into the effective value of VT. VT kya hoga? VT dash will be equal to original VT plus what was this delta VT by delta VSB? Nobody answers. So delta VT by delta VSB is nothing other than the substrate
Body
sensitivity, body sensitivity. Excellent. So if it is a body sensitivity, what happens is if we can find out the body sensitivity, then I will relate it with VSB. Interestingly, what is the we actually wanted this source to be grounded. Understand this very clearly. Okay. Then we will be thinking that, okay, since we have put the body to the ground and apparently the source is also grounded. So let me just put, this is VDS, this is grounded. But what is going to happen here is if this red part, this was true, then basically VSB will be 0. So we can ignore all this body effect. Unfortunately, this is not so. You have applied ground on this side. So what is the VSB? This is going to be your VS. This is your VS voltage. So VSB will be equal to ID into RS. Okay. So what is the VT dash? VT plus body sensitivity into the VSB. So that is Vt plus body sensitivity. In our previous, in that particular lecture, we used M-1. We have seen that, okay, into IDRS. Okay, so we see that because of this parasitic resistance, we are essentially getting an effective VGS dash, effective VDS dash, and effective VT dash. Now let us find out the channel resistance. The channel resistance will be given by how much? The VD dash, VDS dash divided by the ID which is flowing. Okay, so VDS dash divided by ID. In ID, I will write mu and Cox W by LCH. Notice. Okay, this is the channel length which we thought about, into VGS dash minus VT dash minus M by 2 VDS dash into VDS dash. Okay, this VDS dash will cancel, and all I shall do right now is LCH is going into the numerator. VGS dash के बदले में हम ये लिखेंगे VGS minus IDRS. I have just copied from this equation. Minus VT dash, I have again copied from this equation, minus VT minus M minus 1 IDRS. Minus M by 2 VDS dash के बदले में I'll copy this equation, VDS minus IDRS minus IDRD. Incidentally, if you are using a normal CMOS process, unless you are specifically going for a gate overlap structure or something, some special engineering, some special niche applications, usually the source and the drain regions are symmetrical. What is the meaning of symmetrical source and the drain regions? That means the RS and RD will mostly be the same. Let us call it RSD by 2. The RSD is the total resistance on including this total parasitic resistance. Okay, instead of RSD, let me call it RP or RPAR. That means parasitic. Huh? Okay, so if RS and RD are equal, then what will happen over here? Look at this. RS and RD are equal. So it is basically becoming twice IDRS. This 2 cancels. That will become minus, that is plus M into IDRS. Here is minus M into IDRS. So this M and this will cancel. And there is a minus into minus 1 of IDRS. Here it is minus IDRS. So this will cancel again. So it's an amazing thing that RCH turns out to be LCH by mu and Cox W, VGS minus VT minus M by 2 VDS. Wow. So what do we realize? What is the conclusion of this modeling?
Same as the
previous one. So that means as long as you are keeping the underlaps same, equal on both source and the drain regions, your channel resistance remains the same. Okay, it's the channel resistance remains the same. So now what is important, then does it mean that your channel resistance, okay, this is the channel resistance, but this is not the R-on. R-on will include the total resistance seen by the current when it is flowing from the drain to the source. So you have to add this resistance also. So that is what RS plus RD. RS plus RD is parasitic plus RCH. So as far as the channel resistance is concerned, what we understand is as long as the underlap remains the same on both the ends, you are going to end up in the same channel resistance. So channel resistance is independent of underlap, even though you will think that, okay, it is supposed to change. No. Okay, very good. So as an engineer, whenever you are taking an underlap, you don't need to bother about RCH, but you will have to bother about RS and RD. I mean, only this region. Okay, RS and RD will be provided by the process people. Those who have done the process technology, they will give you through measurements, they will do the experiments and give you the value of RS and RD, and you can go on doing your circuit designs. Now, the eighth short channel effect is basically the parasitic capacitance. This is already something which I taught, at least I have taught, in when we were dealing with the MOSFET capacitances. This will happen due to gate overlap. So previously it was gate underlap. Underlap means the LG is less than LCH. Whereas for overlap, LG is greater than LCH. So the metallurgical gate length is larger than the effective channel length. All right. Okay. So now, in this case, this region is going to have a very high capacitance clearly because N plus is a very heavily doped region, both source and the drain region, and you are applying the same potential everywhere. So COVD and COVS, these capacitances will be very high. Got it? Huh? So where does this capacitance come into the picture? There will simply be like a DC shift here I have shown for the entire MOSFET capacity, MOSFET characteristics. When we were dealing with the MOSFET capacitances, you will notice that I have put one region for COV. Okay, so this is going to be a DC shift. Ideally, if you are not having this like a perfectly self-aligned process, remember, self-aligned process is valid only for large scale devices, not small scale devices, small channel devices. Large, I mean, long channel devices only you can basically think about self-aligned process. Then COV concept itself doesn't arise. COV arises as the problems of short channel effect. So if it is a short channel device, only then you cannot use the polysilicon anymore. Remember all those things I taught you. So if you are making it short channel, you have to make hafnium oxide. So there is no point in self-aligned process. And if it is not a self-aligned process, then there is a high probability of getting an underlap or overlap. So these problems, underlap and overlap, okay, these parasitics will increase. I mean, the probability of having parasitics will be much more in the short channel device. So again, coming back to the same thing, uh, long channel devices are much more robust than the short channel devices. Okay, so this is also one part which we already know, so I am not going into this anymore. Now we will come to the very, very important topic of CMOS latch-up. CMOS latch-up, I expect it to be covered in VLSI design, but anyways, I will explain this here also. So first of all, notice that if you are making it a very short channel device where the effective channel length is roughly going to be the base width. Remember, in a PNP or NPN BJTs, you need to have the base region as small as possible. That is something which we have discussed when we were dealing with one or two lectures on BJT as an extension of the diodes. Remember, in those classes, I told that you need to have this region, the base region, as small as possible so that your excuse me, your alpha, okay, transistor efficiency, that BJT efficiency will increase. Okay, so this alpha, if you want to increase, what you have to do is you have to make WB as small as possible. Now in this case, what we understand is if it is a short channel device, then LCH will be so small, effective channel will be so small, it will start acting like a base width of a, in this case, NPN BJT. Now, BJT being a bulk device, it will dominate over the MOSFET behavior because a MOSFET will always conduct only through the surface inversion layer, correct? Whereas in case of a BJT, it will behave like a 3D device. Okay, so you are always going to have a huge number of uh, carriers, electrons, which will essentially reach from the source to the drain as if source is the as if it is like a BJT. Okay, so this is called a parasitic BJT. But this has got nothing to do with the latch up. Latch up is a more important concept, which will be there in case of long channel devices also. Okay, latch up is got something to do in a more fundamental way. So you understand that parasitic BJT effect is because of scaling. Only when your base width will be in the order of LCH, or in other words, when the channel length is so small that it will start behaving like the effective base width of the BJT. Then it is a parasitic BJT. So parasitic BJT is the effect, is the problem of short channel effect. But CMOS latch up can happen even in case of long channel devices. But of course, it is more um, dominant in case of short channel. We will look into it. First of all, tell me, who can, I mean, you have done latch up, CMOS latch up in VLSI design?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
You have not done latch up. Oh my God. Are you sure, or you did not do that class? Okay. So, because the attendance is really, really pathetic. I do not know whether I teach very bad or something. I do not know. Attendance is only 13 today, including 2 of myself. So basically 11 students are attending today's lecture. Only 11 students out of a strength of 35. All right. So it's not even 50%. Really, this is pathetic. Um, in IITs, again, I often allude to IITs because it's not nothing personal, but I'm just sharing my own experience. In IITs, I have never seen any MTech course without 100% attendance in almost every class. Every class, there will be 100% attendance in IITs, whether it is IIT Hyderabad or IIT Kharagpur. So, independent of which big IIT, small IIT, old IIT, new IIT, it doesn't matter. In IITs, there is 100% attendance for each and every class. Okay, that is 100% attendance for MTech. For BTech courses, okay, still there is around less than 50% attendance right now in the MTech course. In BTech, it is like even less, like 20%, 10% attendance in BITS for the BTechs. Okay. Whereas in case of IITs, there will be at least 90% attendance in the BTech.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, yes.
There might be 2 people watching the same screen without joining again and again in the hostel.
No, that's fine. What I'm suggesting is that, so in that case, it should be 34, 33, right?
I mean, sir, one screen, 2 people watching the same screen.
Okay, so many
Yeah.
are there like that. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that is also
Combined.
great. So what I'm suggesting is that uh, this is something, so many of us, I mean, in general, our Indian society think that the IIT students are smarter or something. But believe me, they are not smarter, because smartness is totally an individual, completely a natural thing, which basically it's a God's gift. It's a talent. Smartness, intelligence, being very good in mathematics is completely God's gift. There will be some people who can memorize things well. There will be some people who can do math very well. Some people who will be doing coding very well. Some people they'll be doing experiments very well. You will not get everything. For example, I'm very bad in uh, experimental research. Very bad in the sense like I'm not even interested. I've never tried also. But I'm good in mathematics. I'm good in coding. But I am very bad in memorizing. That's why I'm very bad in chemistry. So one has to realize I mean, nobody is perfect. I'm very bad in sports, but I'm very good in music. Okay. So everyone will be a mixture of good and bad. So your objective will be to emphasize your good. So why am I suddenly speaking all this kind of, I mean, unnecessary stuff? Because I'm just trying to tell you is that IIT students are, it doesn't mean that all the IIT students are brilliant. No, 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 not at all. Okay. What they are extremely sincere. They are extremely serious about their studies, extremely serious. Yesterday, Akash had come to my office I was so appreciating him. So I was wondering, like, why only Akash? Does it imply that all of you are like you understand each and everything? So Akash was telling he's from electrical background, so he's finding it difficult to understand. Okay, so those of you who are from EC background, so you learnt everything, right? So what can have what should be different? So the people who are lagging a little bit because of their electrical background or something, they will be asking the basics about MOSFET. So I should expect that the brilliant students among you who are excellent, probably some of you have come from IITs only. So if you are from IITs and very good institutes, let us say, then I will expect that you should come up with questions from FinFETs and CNFETs, right? You should come up with questions, sir. The latest technology in gate all around, how it does it happen? So you should come up with those questions. Why can't I find that inquisitiveness in the bit students? See, if it is just one way traffic like this, I'm only the one who is speaking. Whenever I ask questions, nobody is responding. Attendance is also very low. Then why are you paying the hostel fees? Then probably you should have been better at home. The reason why I asked you to come to the campus as soon as possible, because I'll be available. God damn it. You are available, I'm available. So come to the class. I want all of you to work out whatever I have done. It's a task for you. I want all of you because, in fact, whatever topic I'm teaching you right now is the last topic I did for your seniors. If you have got the previous batches class notes, you will find that this is the last one. Henceforth, whatever I'm going to teach is completely new for this batch because it is my target that every batch I'll be teaching something new or the other. Next year, I'll be teaching for the next batch. If I'm teaching PMMD again, I'll be incorporating new topics once more. In your case, remember, I'm going into new topics from next class onwards. Even though we lost one whole month. So what I'm suggesting is that I'm putting an effort. You are learning much more than your seniors. And with respect to NPTEL, तो you forget NPTEL में वो स्केलिंग ही नहीं पढ़ाते हैं. Whatever we are teaching right now, that you will not find in NPTEL lectures. IIT professors also don't teach this. So I am putting an effort. So please let me help you. Help me help you better. Why only Akash is coming? Why only Ashok is the only one who is asking questions? Why is Shashank, Ashok, some of you only ask me questions? Why? Why not the whole batch? Whenever I ask any questions, everybody is dumb. Sometimes I get confused whether my internet has gone or not. Whereas in IITs, if I ever make a mistake of asking a question, it's a mistake because the whole class will start shouting. Everybody will start answering. Why is that zeal missing from you guys? You should come and tell me, sir, we need an extra class on this where we have found out so many doubts, which is the general doubts among the whole class. So can you please take an extra class? I'll be very, very happy to oblige. Okay, I'll finish this. Why is CMOS latch up not done in VLSI design? Why? This is one of the patent questions in your interviews, yaar. Patent questions. Everything, I mean, you are going to learn from me only. Either it is from PMMD or you will learn from advanced VLSI design. Am I the only one responsible for your placements? I could have simply thought that latch up is a circuits thing. It has got nothing to do with device scaling as such. As I said, latch up is going to happen even at 180 nanometer node. It has got nothing to do with scaling. So any VLSI structure, VLSI design structure layouts are going to have latch up. Anyway, latch up, we are going to learn much more details in our advanced VLSI design next semester. But again, as I said, you learn from me. Am I the only one responsible for getting all the entire 35 students into Intel? And that too, you are also not interested. Now I'm seriously thinking that from next time onwards, I will just simply stop YouTube videos, stop online videos and everything. I'll just simply do offline classes. If you don't come to the class, go to hell. Okay. Now look at the situation here. Follow the blue line. In fact, if I knew that you did not learn latch up, I would have probably elaborated this a little bit more. Just follow the blue line over here. So this is basically the vertical cross section of a simple inverter. I think that is done. Okay. So this is a vertical cross section of a simple inverter. This is the N-well. Vertical cross section. This is not the layout. So now, if you notice that even if you are not, so what is the scaling technologies? Technology scaling is basically reducing these channel lengths here. Okay. This is another, okay. So this is the scaling technology. So even if your channel lengths are large enough, so even for long channel devices, as I said, latch up is a pertinent problem even for long channel devices. Long channel hai to this scaling will not, this channel length under the gate will be large. So if it is large, so there will not be any BJT like this, which I had shown over here. This is the parasitic BJT. This is different. Please understand. Parasitic BJT is the result of short channel effect. Latch up is a problem of what? Basically wafer thickness. Okay, so this is your wafer, silicon die wafer thickness. So if it is a wafer thickness, you have got the N-well and all. So notice that with as the technology improved, process technology improved, what people did was they will be making thinner and thinner wafers. So if the wafer becomes thin, N-well becomes thinner. So what happens is you are going to have P plus region, N-well ke liye N region, and again this is what P substrate. So P plus NP, P plus NP. Okay, so the thickness of this N-well basically starts behaving like a base region of the BJT. Similarly, this is N plus P. This is what? N-well. So N plus P N. This is another BJT. Now, since there is a longer distance over here, so you will be having one resistive path. There is another resistive path in the N-well. So I'm sorry, I did not know that you have not done latch up. But anyway, in that case, I'll do it much more in depth in our advanced VLSI design. So this is a circuit which we have to analyze and study. Okay, so this is the CMOS latch up. The other latch up that is possible is, notice that you have got the, what are these tie? These are called the body tie. This is the P plus in the P region. This is N plus in the N region. So this is also connected with VDD in the N-well, and this is connected with the ground. Okay, so these are the body tie, body connection. So if this is the body connection, if these are the body connections, you are having this resistive path. So if you are keeping it, it's possible to ensure that this RP sub will be very high. Then you will be left with this kind of a latch up situation. Okay, for long channel devices. Because if it is short channel, you can essentially have the BJT like this. Otherwise, you will simply have the BJT with respect to this N plus, as I showed over here. This N plus, P, and this N region, N-well region. And this RN well is over here. This is one form of latch up. This is another form of latch up. Now, how to do the circuit analysis is beyond the scope of this course. We will do it in the advanced VLSI design. It should have been done in VLSI design itself, but anyway, we will do it. It's a very, very important thing. So our objective is to ensure that how to cut off this kind of a latch up circuit situation. And remember, these are all BJTs. So your uh, circuits will start functioning. This BJT circuit will become operational rather than the small inverter which you have made. Okay. So latch up circuit is something you see if you can do it in VLSI design, or otherwise we will do it in advanced VLSI design. So basically you are lucky, you are fortunate that I'll be teaching advanced VLSI design next time. Okay, so in advanced VLSI design, I have to cover up a huge portion of VLSI design at the same time specific to advanced VLSI design. So it becomes rather tough for me. Okay, so that's all for today. So we have essentially figured out 10 different problems of short channel effects. In our next lecture, we will begin with velocity saturation effects. Okay, so that means when we are going into 10 nanometer, 14 nanometer technology node. Okay, deep nanoelectronic scale technology. It's not just short channel, it's deep nanometer technology. Okay, thank you for joining, and please be responsive. Please be more proactive and take initiatives. Okay, thank you.